Welcome to Transcendent. I'm Raya, and I'm the daughter.
And I'm Joe, and I'm the dad. Our guest today is Father Wilson Roane.
I'm excited about this one. I'm excited about this interview here because so many people in the LGBTQ community have been so hurt by religion or religious people. And we're going to have a conversation today about what we can do about all that.
Full disclosure is that, first of all, Father Roane and I are very good friends, and I'm honored that he came here to be part of this. And secondly, he is going to be speaking as himself, not with his frock.
Not on behalf of the church.
So what did I miss in the introduction? Is there something else you'd like to say?
No, I think you did just fine. You know, that the formal name is a good way to start, and Wilson is a good name to use on a regular basis.
You know, whenever I think of Wilson, I can't think of saying Wilson without thinking of Home Improvement.
Wilson next door.
Yes,
Sure.
where you never saw, only saw the eyes and the nose.
Some people remember the movie with the soccer
Castaway.
ball. Yeah.
I think of that.
Oh,
I
that's
think
right.
of those
Yes.
two. Yes.
Yeah.
And how Wilson was the one, was the way that he kept himself feeling like he had a friend there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And are you
Until
that? Are you
Wilson
that to
floated
us?
away.
Are you the friend to us when we're cast away?
Exactly.
We're talking here about a community of people, as Raya said in the introduction, who have been really hurt. There are people who make judgments or people who come out with an interpretation of something with authority that says, I'm telling you what God thinks, and this is it, and you are not in line. That happens.
Yes, it does. I take a lot of my my understanding of how generous God is with His love from a Bible scholar, N.T. Wright, and I would recommend anybody to get a hold of some of his books. He's really a very prolific writer. He understands and tells the reader how God is so loving that regardless of what the situation is with a person's life, that they're loved by God. And it's a shame that people don't understand that.
I was personally profoundly influenced by N.T. Wright. I started reading N.T. Wright back in, I think, about 2000 or 2001. And when I transitioned, I was so influenced by N.T. Wright that when I transitioned, I took the name Raya and then I took two middle initials, N.T., because I had been so influenced by N.T. Wright.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I really appreciated his scholarship. When people in my community come into, when I say my community, I'm talking about the LGBTQ plus community entering a religious community. And oftentimes we can feel like it's not just one aspect about, we might be judged for, but it feels like we're bringing our very selves on trial in this community. And even if 9 out of 10 people are very welcoming, if there's one person that says, well, yeah, but I think that you are not really where God wants you to be. And I know from hearing stories how profoundly hurt many people are and would just say, forget it. I just don't ever want to go. I don't even want to try. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to be there. What would your message be to people in my community?
I try to encourage people, going back in what you just got through saying, Raya, I try to encourage people to recognize when judgmentalism gets involved in a conversation or in an attitude, that they are violating one of the things that Christ taught us, not to be judgmental. That's totally wrong. We are not there to judge. God, it's God's job. I've often told people that when they've asked me, what you should do about this, I said, well, in reality, my job is in sales. I'm not in management. God is in management, and God will handle all of these things just fine. I trust that. That's part of my faith. So I think it's sad to hear that type of evaluation of what has happened, for people in that community, and yet at the same time, I can understand coming out like this at this time in our lives is it's something new. I go back 60 some odd years, 84 to be exact.
That's a little
But
more than 60.
60 is when I got out of college and all that, and I said back then that was never an issue. It was not. People didn't think about it. It was never brought up. That, I think, is a lot of the problem. Is it's so new and people resist cultural changes that are sprung upon them.
So what Raya said is something that a lot of people out there have reacted to and been very hurt by.
Yeah.
What would you tell those people? What do you tell these people that are, I will say, chased away by some of the people in the church?
Well, if they ask me, I mean, I'm not going to go up and grab somebody by the nape of the neck and say, that's wrong. If they ask me, or if I have a chance to talk about it to a group, or if I have a chance to write about it, I would point out that is not an appropriate thing to for a person that claims to be a Christian to do. One of the things that we were talking about yesterday in a Bible class is that the view of Christians by so many people outside the church is that Christians are judgmental and hypocritical.
Mm-hmm.
And that turns them away from the church generally.
In the wintertime, when we winter in Texas, we are in a Bible study there with some good friends. I've been in 2 or 3 different ones. And in one person, I forget what the conversation was, but the guy was wanting to debate with me about something. And it was an issue. It wasn't the LGBTQ issue, but it was something like that. And he said to me, so you think these people that are doing X and Y are going to be going to heaven? And I said, that's not for me to judge. That's not I can't judge that. And that's not for you to judge either. We're not the judge here.
Goes back to what I said before.
Yeah.
You're in sales, not management.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's good to know.
Wilson, what do you think is the value of a religious community? And I'm asking, I think specifically from many people I know will say, okay, well, I was already hurt by that. Okay, I understand that your church is okay, and this is not specific to you, but I mean your church in general. This can be, a metropolitan community church that's explicitly serving the LGBTQ plus community, or it could be an affirming ELCA church or the Episcopal Church or any of, there's a lot of different affirming churches. And yet people will say, okay, I understand that I could go find a place where I would be accepted, but why should I bother at this point after I've been so hurt? Why should I make the effort? What do you think is the value of a community like that?
The church is really a body of people, and as St. Paul says, it's the body of Christ. It has inherited from Christ and from the very early Christians the responsibility to spread the gospel. That's one part of it, is that you need everybody. Everybody has a different talent. Everybody will function differently, but put them all together, and you've got a body that can do that type of spreading of the gospel. But for them individually, it's a support system. So that, to put it very simply, when I see you in church, it is a support system. And when you separate somebody from that group, they the possibility is that they will wither as a limb cut from a tree would wither without the attached trunk of that tree. It would be sad for them, in the long run. See people that get sick, and people visit them, take food to them when they're unable to prepare a meal for themselves. That sort of thing happens regularly. It's just nobody thinks twice about the fact that that's what we do. That's one of the beauties of having a church group. I mean, that's what Jesus was doing, was putting together a group of people who would be him to the rest of the world.
Would you talk a little bit about how you have reconciled your stance on the LGBTQ community and people in the community with your understanding of the Bible?
I've known too many people that have come out as gay, and I have relatives that are gay. I don't see any difference in the person, and I take it very seriously that I'm not inclined to find judgment, as I would not want them to find judgment about some of my failings, if you want to call it failings. I don't call it failings, but I mean differences, or whatever you want to call it, Do I part my hair the right way and stuff of that nature? I don't know.
I've been meaning to talk to you about that.
You mentioned earlier, and it reminded me of the verse in Matthew, I believe, where Jesus said, "You shall know them by their fruits."
The fruits are the results. That's what that means. It's the metaphor for results. And when I see that the church is currently struggling a lot right now, the pandemic did a lot of damage to the church.
Mm-hmm.
In this area in particular. I understand some other parts of the country have recovered already. Many of the churches in this area generally, regardless of denomination, are struggling still. But the fruits are the result. Is the church functioning? Is it able to continue to preach the gospel and teach people? Is it we have a program called the Bread Basket, which is an ecumenical program that was started by St. Mark's to provide food to the people that are in need of a meal. Are we still doing that? Yes, we are. Do we collect clothes for people that have need in that regard? So it's that sort of thing going on, and the idea that people support one another, as we said a little while ago.
There are people out there who have been hurt. There are people out there who are struggling. There are people who don't care.
Yes.
And sometimes that not caring is a front for having been hurt or having been.
Yeah. Well, as they say in that program, make a friend, be a friend,
bring a friend
to Christ.
Yeah, exactly.
When you make a friend, you're polite and nice and non-judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
Blah blah, all of that, all those good things. You love them, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then so you make a friend, and then you be a friend, which means taking them to a restaurant or something like that, or if their kids need shoes, make sure that they get some shoes, or being a friend.
Yep.
Is an activity, an actual activity that you
you think, well, make a friend. And I think this is really the first step for some and the last step for some, because it's the last step, because when they came out, people they thought were their friends weren't anymore. They rejected them. And it's not, I'm not talking about.
And that's sad.
Yeah,
Very
it is.
sad.
It's really sad. And it is individuals, not the collective church. It's
Right.
the individuals who will, we're having a potluck. I'll sit at the other table. Would you say that's true?
Yes, I would say that that's probably pretty good.
And that's
description.
kind of the reason that I think some people, in fact, a large number of people in the LGBTQ community have felt rejected.
And it's a sad commentary on those that are claimed to be Christians.
Wilson, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you coming in and meeting with us and interviewing here and sharing your knowledge and your years of serving. And we thank you for all that you've done for the church and for the community. You might have a question as you're listening to this. Maybe you have a question for Wilson. Maybe you have a question for us. Dad, where can they email us?
They can email us at transcendent@gmail.com.
Yes, they sure can. And we check those emails. I'm pretty good about checking it. I try to check it every day. I do sometimes miss a day here and there, but we read every email that you send, and we will absolutely respond to you if you have a question or you want to check in and see. Maybe you have an idea of a topic you'd like us to address. We would love to hear from you.
And with that...